the equipment doesn't mean much. Last month, we proved this truth once again when some of our greatest soldiers, right here, to ever live, frankly, successfully captured the outlaw dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, and brought him back to face American justice, where he's now, right now, waiting. And that was an amazing night. People saw that. They've never seen anything like it. You know, it's a pretty military country. It was a big base, one of the biggest bases in South America, where he lived. And it was in a matter of minutes before he was on a helicopter being taken out of there. They had to go through steel doors. The steels were like, it was like paper mache. You know what paper mache is? That's weak paper. These guys blasted through every door. They got up to him before he got to the big safe, but that wouldn't have worked either because they had equipment that was going to knock that out in a matter of minutes. But he never got there. It went so fast. Think of it, in a matter of minutes, when people realize what happened, they're looking up and there's the helicopter heading back to aircraft carriers. So that night, the entire world saw what the full military might of the U.S. military is capable of. And that was an unbelievable operation, but that was a smaller operation. But it was so precise, so incredible. Nobody thought a thing like that could happen. They even talk about the discombobulator because they never got a shot off. The Russian equipment didn't work. The Chinese equipment didn't work. Everyone's trying to figure out why it didn't work. Someday you're going to find out. But it didn't work. It's nice when you can fly in and not get shot at. Although we did have 3 helicopter pilots who were wounded pretty badly in the legs, landing, and a couple of machine gunners seemed to have made it through a thicket of bombs, but they were taken out rapidly by our snipers who were stationed on platforms, actually unbelievable helicopter platforms all the way the line, and they were taken out immediately. And those pilots were incredible and really brave. I may see some of them very shortly. They were hit pretty bad in the legs. You know, they're landing a big chopper, and they're being shot at from close range by a machine gun, so that's not a comfortable feeling. They landed it perfectly, and they got out of there perfectly, and they're just brave guys and very talented, skilled people. With your help, America is winning again. America is respected again. And perhaps most importantly, we are feared by the enemies all over the globe. They fear us. And, you know, I don't like to say fear, but sometimes you have to have fear because that's the only thing that really will get the situation taken care of. We have a situation right now where we sent a very big carrier group to Iran. I'd love to see if we could make a deal. They've been difficult to make a deal. I thought we would have had a deal last time. They wish they did, and that's where we did Midnight Hammer. But with the restored strength and the tremendous power that we've now built up over the last number of years, even though there was an interlude with Biden, who is the worst president in the history of our country. But the interlude, fortunately, was ended quickly, and we started the process again and built upon what we had already done the first 4 years. But we're also bringing peace all over the world. I ended 8 wars in just 10 months. 8 wars are ended. And we have a couple of more to go, but one in particular, Russia-Ukraine. It's a mess. It's a horrible thing. And I think we'll get there. It takes 2 to tango. You have to remember that. And we have to get there. Tremendous casualties, number of casualties. There's a war that if we were involved in that war, it would have been over very quickly and effectively, but we're not, fortunately. In fact, we're not spending any money. We are spending and sending weapons to NATO. And because of the increase from 2% to 5% of GDP that the NATO countries are paying, they pay us full for the weapons. And then they distribute the weapons to mostly, I guess, Ukraine, but that's up to them. They buy them. And we do make the greatest weapons of any country in the world by far, most effective weapons. So my message to all of the warriors here today is that your commander-in-chief supports you totally. I support you more than... I know you've had a couple of good ones, not that many if you want to know the truth. But we support you more than any of them. And you're going to get out, and when needed, you're going to fight, fight, fight. You're going to win, win, win. And we're going to continue to make our country bigger and better and stronger than ever before. And that's exactly where we are right now. We are the most respected country anywhere in the world. And I say it, the King of Saudi Arabia told me when I was there, he spent $2 trillion. We have $18 trillion being invested right now in our country from other companies and countries all over the world. The most any country's ever had is $3 trillion. That was a long time ago, and it didn't happen to be us. It was another country. It starts with a C. Can you imagine what I'm talking about? China. But we have $18 trillion being invested. As an example, in the Biden 4 years, they had less than $1 trillion. Think of this, less than $1 trillion over 4 years. We have $18 trillion in 11 months because we haven't gotten the final numbers on the 12th month, so that's only going to go up. There's never been anything like it. But the King of Saudi Arabia looked at me and says, you know, a year and a half ago, I thought the United States of America was finished. I thought it was dead. And now you have the hottest country anywhere in the world. We have the hottest country anywhere in the world, and you're a very, very big part of it. Thank you to the Army. Thank you to everybody here. Thank you also to our great politicians. They're great leaders, and they love you as much as I do. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
And you were just watching President Trump at Fort Bragg touting the strength and the ability and skill of the U.S. military and sending a message saying that the soldiers has his full support, perhaps more than any president. Okay, joining us to discuss this is Taylor Hathorn, visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Center for American Safety and Security. So Taylor, I just want to start off. You've got brothers in the U.S. military. What does this mean to you, and why is it important for the president to offer gestures like this, like praise as well as honoring these soldiers who contributed so much?
From a personal standpoint, I think it's great. I think that it really does a lot for military personnel morale to have a president and an administration who not only stands by them publicly and stands behind them publicly, but makes sure that what we're doing in terms of policy is supportive of our military personnel. I actually had an article that I wrote for The Hill in May of 2025 that outlined how bad our recruitment numbers were prior to this administration. So during the Biden administration, a lot of people don't know this, but in 2024, we had the lowest incoming numbers of recruitment for our United States military personnel than any time since before World War II. So things were looking really, really bleak about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and now we are not in the same situation. Our numbers are on the rise. Military personnel feel supported, and I think things like this, gestures like this from the president and the first lady, do a lot in making sure that military members feel like they are appreciated for the work that they do.
Okay, so you're saying the gestures like this make a difference. I'm wondering if there's any other you can point to, any other differences that you can point to that has resulted recruitment numbers under the Trump administration compared to previous administrations.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, look at a lot of the announcements that have happened. Secretary Cal coming out and saying that, you know, the military personnel who were fired unjustly because of the COVID mandates would be reinstated with full and back pay. I mean, things like this, they might not affect all military personnel, but I think they affect enough people that it shows that the administration is really standing behind them and putting their money where their mouth is. You know, we've got a military pay increase coming down the pike. That's huge. You know, we've got military personnel who are being supported and who are no longer being treated like less than by their Secretary of War. And I think that that's huge.
Okay, so I just wanted to get your quick thoughts on that. I want to move on to another topic, and that's the deadline for the funding for the Department of Homeland Security. And as you know, Taylor, DHS funds FEMA, TSA, the Secret Service, the Coast Guard. And by the way, the Coast Guard helps to keep rivers open so critical food and energy can go to cities like New York. So your thoughts on whether Republicans, should they meet some of the Democrats' demands to keep DHS open?
Absolutely not. The demands that the Democrats have are preposterous. They're asking for ICE agents to not wear masks. So I want you to really think about that. That seems like a very reasonable request, right? Like, don't have masked federal agents arresting people. But the people who are calling for this are in support of them being doxxed, these people whose families and whose addresses have been put at risk because of far left-wing activists who don't like what ICE is doing, but meanwhile had nothing to say about this during the President Obama years when he was actually coined by the media as deporter-in-chief. He deported over 3.1 people during ICE deportations, and no one said anything. If you go back and you look at the articles that were written about it during the time, it was talked about how this was a very important national security issue, how we needed to make sure that our borders were secured so that Americans could prosper, so that we didn't bring terrorism to our homeland. And now you have far left-wing activists and members of our Congress stating that these people need to put their lives at risk when they are simply doing their job. Another thing that they're wanting to, another red line that they have in the sand for the Democrats is making sure that we get rid of the warrant process, that the warrants need to be instituted by a judge. How many times in this country over the last decades have we seen that our judicial system is weaponized to make political gains? And I just don't think that that's something that is fair to the ICE agents. I don't think that it's fair to American citizens, especially American citizens like Laken Riley, who were murdered by immigrants in this country, or an immigrant in this country who should not have been here in the first place.
Now, those are good points. What do you say to the voices on the left who say Congress should not fund DHS without meaningful changes?
Well, I think our lawmakers know that not funding DHS during this go-around is not going to do anything to prevent ICE from carrying out their duties. ICE is still going to be funded through the big, beautiful bill. Over 90% of ICE, 90 or 93%, I can't remember the exact number, but the ICE agents and CBP agents will still receive their paychecks and still have their mandates to do their jobs. The Democratic lawmakers on the left know this, and they are just trying to scare Americans. They're trying to make Americans feel like they are standing up for their values and their principles. And real Americans, people who look into these issues, understand that that is not what is happening here. I mean, ICE is going to be funded anyway, so this is just them placating to the loudest voices in their party.
Okay, another topic I wanted to cover today, Taylor. Iran has just been named the vice chair of the United Commissions for Social Development. So this is a commission that's supposed to promote social justice and women's rights. And Iran is now a part of that, despite its record of violently clamping down on protesters. We've seen that, and severely restricting women's rights. I mean, the irony speaks for itself. Give us your thoughts.
You know, I'm embarrassed for the United Nations. I've said that on this program several times. You know, anytime that I want to advocate for something good that they're doing, then you have the United Secretary General Guterres come out and congratulate Iran on the anniversary of their 1979 revolution. And for those of you who understand what that means, is this is the regime that is currently inflicting thousands and thousands, tens of thousands of deaths and killing their own people, killing men, women, and children in the streets. This is the same regime that was just congratulated by the UN Secretary General. And then you're going to put them on a committee like that. It is a slap in the face for the world community at large, and it really shows how embarrassing and feckless the United Nations is. I'm ashamed of what they're doing. I'm ashamed of the work that they do, and President Trump and this administration were right to pull us out of over 31 different subcommittees like this, 31 different subcommittees that were doing absolutely nothing, in fact, harming men, women, and children around the world who are living under the rule of oppressive regimes, and that is something that people on the left should be talking about just as much. This is embarrassing for the United Nations, and it would be embarrassing for the United States if we had not done what we did to stand up for what was true and just and good.
And I think UN ambassador to the UN, Mike Waltz, really echoed what you said just now. He said in a quote, "Yet another reason why we're not a member of, nor do we participate in this ridiculous Commission for Social Development." Just final thoughts on this, Taylor.
I think the president and the administration should be doing more. I think that we should be putting the United Nations on notice that if they don't start affecting actual change that benefits the people who they were founded to protect and make sure that they were protected from tyrannical regimes, if we don't start doing that and we don't put, our foot on the United Nations neck to let them know that we're watching, that China and Russia have absolutely no place on the Security Council. And I know that we're doing great work with Saudi Arabia, but they should not be co-chairing the Women's Rights Council. We really need to start calling them out. This is not about disenfranchising ourselves from the world community and becoming isolationists as the United States of America. This is about looking at what our tax dollars as United States citizens are funding and really taking a hard look at that and assessing, should we be putting our money here or should we be investing it in things like the President's Board of Peace initiative that he started to see if we can actually affect change in these communities around the world. I've said this before, I'm going to hold my breath. I'm holding out hope that the Board of Peace affects actual change, but it's certainly going to do more than the United Nations at this point. If nothing else, at least it won't be committing and perpetuating the harm that the UN is doing.
And I just want to add that China shouldn't be on the Human Rights Council either, given its, its terrible record. That's even using the word terrible is an understatement. Okay, Taylor, thank you so much.
Actual enslavement, yes.
Exactly. Very right. Thank you so much for speaking with us today, Taylor.
Thanks, Don.
President Trump answered questions on a range of topics today as he left the White House for Fort Bragg. Among them, the president said he would be traveling to Venezuela following the U.S. capture of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro early last month.
When are you planning to visit Venezuela, sir? I'm going to make a visit to Venezuela. Wait. We haven't decided. Are you from Venezuela? From Colombia, sir. We share a border with Venezuela. We just had a good meeting with you.
Trump addressed a number of foreign policy questions as he departed the White House. Trump said negotiations to acquire Greenland were underway. The president also answered questions about his decision to send a second aircraft carrier to the Middle East.
Well, in case we don't make a deal, we'll need it. If we don't have a deal, we'll need it. If we have a deal, we could cut it to it. It'll be leaving very soon. We have one out there that just arrived. If we need it, we have it ready. A very big force.
On the home front, Trump addressed the ongoing investigation into the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. When asked about potential cartel or nation-state involvement in her abduction, the president said, quote, "Somebody either knew what they were doing very well or they were rank amateurs. Either way, not a good situation." Speaking of which, it's day 13 of the search for Nancy Guthrie, and authorities still don't know where the 84-year-old grandmother is. Meanwhile, authorities have been following thousands of leads, and they have new evidence. More news after this break. Don't go away.
What has lasted 5,000 years was once almost lost. Now, the world awaits the divine culture's return.
See it at least once in your lifetime. Shen Yun returns to David Koch Theater, March 25th through April 12th. Get your tickets now at shenyun.com.
Hi, I'm Jane Seymour, and I spent years on TV playing a doctor. But I learned about the heartbreaking reality of heart disease and stroke when they touched my own life. My father nearly died before having a quadruple bypass and valve replacement that saved him. And my mom, who was my inspiration, suffered a stroke that took away her speech, her ability to move, and ultimately her life. To see someone so vibrant, so positive, who'd survived so much in life, be debilitated by a stroke, it was devastating. And also a wake-up call. And that's why I'm so passionate about supporting the American Heart Association. They're doing more every day to stop needless deaths. But they simply can't do their life-saving work without you. So please call now or go to helpheart.org. And for only $19 a month, just 63 cents a day, your donation will go to work to do amazing things, like fund the next medical breakthrough, get the next person trained in CPR, and the next hospital certified in high-quality cardiovascular care. I hope that you'll open your heart right now and join me. Please call now or go to helpheart.org. Give $19 a month and we'll send you this special t-shirt that you can proudly wear to show that you're part of a community of monthly donors who are helping save lives. A healthy heart, it's the spirit of life. It makes it possible to do the things that you love, to spend time with your friends and family and fulfill your life's dreams. But so many won't have that chance. Heart disease is America's #1 killer and the #1 killer of women. And that's why I'll do whatever I can to make sure others don't die from heart disease before their time. So please join me. Call the number on your screen or go to helpheart.org. Donate this Heart Month and your first month's gift will be matched.
Is deep-sea fish oil really healthy? Due to pollution in the oceans, most fish contain heavy metal elements and radioactive substances. That's why it's so important to choose a pure source of omega-3. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3 is made from purslane and perilla seeds, which are rich in nutrients and minerals. It effectively improves brain power and is beneficial to the heart's health. Puritan Green Vegetable Omega-3. Eat 2 a day and you'll feel brand new.
All right, we've got some good news for the economy. The annual rate of inflation slowing to an 8-month low in January. That's according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics' latest consumer price index released today. Consumer prices rose 2.4% for the 12 months ending in January. That's a sharp cooling from the 2.7% rate in December. On a monthly basis, price rose a better than expected 0.2%, a deceleration from December. Economists had forecast a 0.3% monthly increase, which would bring the annual rate to 2.5%. Now, the core CPI gauge, which is a closely watched measurement of inflation that excludes food and energy prices, also saw its annual rate of inflation ease. Core CPI slowed to 2.5%, which marks the lowest rate since March 2021, right before the pandemic-era inflationary spike. We're now into day 13 of the search for Nancy Guthrie. The Pima County Sheriff says there are many good leads, but they still don't know where she is. Meanwhile, the FBI releasing new details about a potential suspect. NTD's Arlene Richards has the latest.
Authorities in Arizona are still searching for Nancy Guthrie, the 84-year-old mother of Today Show host Savannah Guthrie. The Pima County Sheriff's Office and the FBI receiving thousands of tips leading to new details on a potential suspect. After agents used specialized equipment to analyze the scene, the FBI now describes the man as having a height of 5'9" to 5'10" with an average build. They're also giving more details on the type of backpack the man was seen wearing on surveillance video from Nancy Guthrie's doorbell camera.
And what the FBI will do is they'll start with the realm of the possible. How many of these backpacks were sold, when they were sold?
The backpack depicted in photographs is an Ozark Trail hiker pack. The FBI has increased its reward to $100,000. Also, a public plea from the Sheriff's Department asking for any video from January 1st through February 2nd. The community alert was sent to residents who live in a 2-mile radius of Nancy Guthrie's home. Meanwhile, the department confirmed to media outlets on Thursday that investigators have recovered several items, including black gloves.
They're going to check this thing every possible scientific way for anything that can bring them to a clue or a person.
According to Sheriff Chris Nanos, DNA testing is now being conducted at a Florida lab where all evidence has been submitted for testing. On Friday, he denied media allegations that he's withholding evidence from the FBI. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt responding to a question from Fox News about the sheriff allegedly withholding evidence.
The FBI has been on the ground. In fact, Director Patel himself was on the ground in Arizona this week, and that we are offering the full resources and weight of the federal government to help local authorities bring this case to an end, to bring Nancy Guthrie home.
Leavitt said in order for the FBI to take over the case, local authorities would have to hand it over to them. President Trump similarly responded on Friday to a Fox News reporter's question about why the FBI hasn't taken over the investigation, saying it's up to them, it's really up to the communities. In other news, on Friday, the California man previously arrested for allegedly impersonating a kidnapper in the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie has been officially indicted today. The Department of Justice announcing today that Derek Colella is charged with sending 2 demands for ransom in text messages to the Guthrie family. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
The Department of Homeland Security is running out of time to secure funding. Democratic senators blocked a bill for it yesterday. NTD's Daniel Monahan has more on that, plus reactions from lawmakers.
All other government agencies have been fully funded through September, but money for DHS got held up after Democrats demanded reforms in its immigration enforcement operations. 52 senators voted to advance a full-year spending bill, not enough to overcome the 60-vote threshold, while 47 senators opposed it. Senator John Fetterman broke ranks with his party to support the measure. Fetterman says shutting DHS down has zero impacts for ICE, which he says already has $75 billion in funding from the Big Beautiful Bill.
So what it will impact is that we'll shut down important parts of DHS, whether that's FEMA, whether that's the Coast Guard.
The deadline to fund DHS is actually tonight, but Congress is off all next week for the President's Day holiday. Many senators left after casting their final votes for the week. GOP leader John Thune vowed to call them back to Washington if Democrats strike a deal with the White House. Thune says Republicans made concessions in the bill, speaking on Fox News.
It was a bipartisan bill, had reforms in it. It had body cameras in it, had de-escalation training in it. It had more oversight of ICE activities in it. These were reforms that the Democrats had requested, agreed to, and then walked away from.
Nearly all DHS workers will remain on the job, but many won't get paid until Congress passes a funding bill.
I don't think it's good politics for anybody, particularly when their message they're sending right now is we're okay with defunding law enforcement, we're okay with defunding the police.
Democrats explain their position.
Funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security should not move forward in the absence of dramatic changes that are bold, meaningful, and transformational.
This vote today asked a simple question. Will you rein in ICE's abuses, or will you vote to extend the chaos?
Their demands include stricter use of force standards, clearer identification for DHS officers, judicial warrants, and limits on what they describe as racial profiling. Other agencies that would be affected by a shutdown include the Transportation Security Administration and the Secret Service. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
As the Department of Homeland Security moves toward a possible shutdown, Secretary Kristi Noem is making a case that its funding must be continued. Noem in San Diego touting the department's efforts to stop hundreds of thousands of pounds of lethal drugs entering the U.S. Here are the details.
Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem highlighting what she says the Trump administration has done to make America safe again.
We got everybody?
Noem speaking to the press in a San Diego vault she said contains more than 1.7 billion lethal doses of seized narcotics.
The vault that we've toured today holds 188,218 pounds of seized illicit drugs.
Noem saying under the second Trump administration, fentanyl trafficking alone has dropped by 56%.
But also right here in front of you, just in this bin in front of you, you see enough lethal doses of fentanyl that would kill 10 million Americans.
Noem also says Border Patrol has released 0 illegal immigrants into the U.S. for 9 straight months.
We're concerned about the Department of Homeland Security not being funded. In fact, I think it's the wrong message to send to the world at this point in time.
Democrats are demanding better identification for ICE agents and other changes to immigration enforcement, including the use of judicial warrants.
When you think about it, every other portion of the federal government has been funded except Homeland Security. That's telling the rest of the world the Democrat Party doesn't think that protecting America is safe.
Noem also saying it isn't just drug and immigration enforcement that will be affected.
But only 11% of that bill is ICE. The rest of it is FEMA, which is responsible for disaster response, for protecting our critical infrastructure. Other things that wouldn't be funded is TSA. The security at all of our airports is in jeopardy because they've refused to fund the Department of Homeland Security.
Noem pointing out this comes on the heels of a 43-day government shutdown during which TSA employees weren't paid, and also saying the U.S. Secret Service and the Coast Guard would be impacted.
This department was created recognizing that we are vulnerable to terrorist attacks and that American homeland needs to be funded and focused on keeping us safe within our own borders.
Right now, it looks likely the DHS will shut down by this weekend. With the House and Senate adjourning for recess, lawmakers won't get another chance to revisit the issue for another 10 days.
Noem also coming out in support of the Save America Act. She says America's election system has a lot of flaws that needs to be addressed.
It's common sense that our elections should belong to the American people. that they should be the ones who get to vote, whose votes are counted, that they get one vote, not more, not less. It's common sense to make sure that foreign nationals don't vote in our elections, don't elect our leaders, and have a say in how our country runs. They don't and should not be allowed to be trampling on the voice of the American people, and will no longer allow American citizens to be disenfranchised, to have their voices suppressed by criminals, by hostile foreign actors, and by illegal aliens that shouldn't be here in this country. It's a fact that non-citizens have been voting in our elections. They've been registered and they have voted from state to state.
The Secretary cites recent surveys showing 84% of Americans support photo ID when going to vote, and 83% support proving U.S. citizenship when registering to vote. She also notes that her department has the authority and responsibility to secure elections. The House passed the Save America Act earlier this week. It would require proof of citizenship when registering to vote and require photo ID when going to vote. But the fate of the bill remains uncertain in the Senate, where the 60-vote filibuster is still in place. Noem says the Save America Act is absolutely critical to America's future, and Congress needs to pass it today. Don Lemon has just arrived at St. Paul Federal Courthouse. The media personality will be arraigned on charges related to a Minnesota church protest case. Prosecutors say he was part of a takeover-style attack where protesters entered the sanctuary during a service. He will face 2 federal charges related to violating First Amendment rights. Lemon says he was only covering the protest that did not participate. He has vowed to fight the case. And federal prosecutors in Chicago have indicted 2 foreign nationals in a $10 million healthcare fraud scheme. Authorities say the pair used fake labs and medical equipment companies to submit false Medicare and private insurance claims. The claims were for services that were never provided. The defendants are originally from Pakistan. They allegedly used personal and provider information without consent to support the fraudulent claims. One is also accused of laundering the scheme's proceeds and sending the money overseas. 3 co-conspirators have already pleaded guilty. Officials say the fraud took money instead intended for seniors and disabled Americans. They vow to continue cracking down on healthcare fraud. Court dates have not yet been set. The Trump administration filed a new lawsuit today against Harvard. The Justice Department says the Ivy League university is failing to cooperate with the federal investigation into its admissions process. Here's more.
In 2023, you may remember the Supreme Court found that race considerations in the college admissions process were unconstitutional. The DOJ says it's trying to assess whether Harvard is complying, but argues that the university is withholding requested documents. The Justice Department says the lawsuit is intended to compel Harvard to produce those documents, with the DOJ adding that the suit doesn't accuse the university of discrimination and isn't seeking monetary damages or the revocation of federal funding. The Trump administration has launched a number of probes into Harvard. Last year, the administration attempted to cancel hundreds of grants over accusations the university failed to effectively address anti-Semitism on campus. The Department of Education is also examining foreign funding disclosures at Harvard and other universities.
The Munich Security Conference opens in Germany. Marco Rubio leads the U.S. team. Leaders including Zelensky and Macron are attending. More after this break.
Disasters are not a matter of if, but when. And they're happening in communities like ours more often.
Even before disaster strikes, hunger is already a crisis in America. But a disaster tests the very heart of who we are as a community. Food is scarce. But it's in these moments of crisis that our strength shines through. Because as neighbors, we lead the way forward. Please join with Feeding America, and let's be there for families in crisis. Call or go online to givetofeedingamerica.org. Just $19 a month, only 63 cents a day. Rushes food, water, and urgent supplies into communities just like yours.
They called us immediately and said, what can we do?
It's those partnerships that come together and respond to recovery.
Feeding America works with local food banks to get immediate relief to families as they recover, and we stay for as long as it takes, because disasters don't wait. and neither do we.
They delivered a truckload of food to us to undergird what we had.
Every box of food, every bottle of water shows the power of neighbors being there for each other. When we work together, we are never alone. Call or donate online at givetofeedingamerica.org. Your gift will be so much more than a donation. It will be a filling meal for a child, comfort for a family in crisis.
We need to be there for our community for the next 40 years, just like we were for the last 40 years. And that's helping people build back in a way that is as strong as possible.
Please call or go online and give right now. With your monthly gift, we'll send you this exclusive canvas bag as a reminder of the hope you are delivering.
We're definitely here during the storm, and we're going to be here long after the storm.
But we need your support to continue being there for your community, for you, and for every family facing a crisis. Please call or go online to givetofeedingamerica.org and make your urgent gift today.
For the first time ever, we're bringing you MyPillow mattresses and mattress toppers for as low as $99.98. Remember, sleep's all about temperature and pressure points. Whatever sleep needs you have, we have the right technology for you. Like our MyPillow mattress topper, our queen size has over 10,000 individual comfort supports to help relieve your pressure points. And how about our 3-inch Hybrid Plus mattress topper? It's infused with copper and silver to help your body get the restorative sleep it needs. And our MyPillow and Case Coil mattresses, I personally helped develop these mattresses to make sure they have everything needed to give us great sleep. Plus, they're made right here in the USA, and they ship right to your front door, absolutely free. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use this promo code to get MyPillow mattresses and toppers for as low as $99.98 and free shipping.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio met with Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi today on the sidelines of the Munich Security Conference. Their meeting came ahead of President Trump's visit to China in April. This month, Trump held a phone call with Chinese President Xi Jinping. The president described the call as very positive. Meanwhile, German Chancellor Friedrich Merz met with Rubio to discuss the war in Ukraine. Kyiv is preparing for another round of peace talks as early as next week as the Trump administration tries to broker a peace deal with Russia. Rubio also met with Syria's foreign minister. The meeting came amid efforts to repatriate Islamic State detainees transferred from Syria. The state of Utah making a major move to protect itself against the Chinese communist regime. The state forced a Chinese company to sell land near a military site. Here's more.
The move comes after Utah passed laws to restrict foreign entities from owning land near military installations, with officials saying the land in question is near a motorsports complex which is located near an army depot. They say this is the first forced divestiture of land by a Chinese company in Utah as a result of state law. The names of the Chinese company and the U.S. buyer have not been disclosed. Governor Spencer Cox, though, saying the move will protect Utah's citizens and institutions from adversarial foreign influence. He said Utah takes national security very seriously, adding, quote, "We recognize that there are certainly threats out there and that we have adversaries who are targeting our country."
Secretary of Energy Chris Wright visited a Venezuelan oil field today with Venezuela's acting president, Delcy Rodriguez. They announced cooperation focused on oil and energy as well as a focus on diplomacy. During the visit, Rodriguez pointed to longtime cooperation with Chevron, which has been in Venezuela for over a century. Other major American oil companies have hesitated about returning to the country. Rodriguez's government expects changes to the country's oil law to serve as assurances to draw them back. The new law grants private companies control over oil production and sales, ending a state-controlled monopoly. The policy also allows for independent arbitration of disputes. The visit follows dramatic shifts in U.S.-Venezuelan relations after U.S. forces captured President Nicolas Maduro in early January. The next round of talks between Ukraine, Russia, and the United States will take place next week. In an ex-post this morning, Ukraine's Secretary of National Security said the trilateral meetings will be held next Tuesday and Wednesday in Geneva. He said the Ukrainian delegation has already begun preparations, adding that the goal remains the same, a sustainable and lasting peace. A Kremlin spokesperson also confirmed the talks will happen next week, but gave no details about location or date. The United States and Taiwan have reached a major reciprocal trade agreement. The deal is aimed at strengthening economic ties and expanding market access. Taiwan will terminate or reduce nearly all tariffs on U.S. industrial and agricultural products, including autos, machinery, beef, pork, dairy, and seafood. It will also remove a range of non-tariff barriers on vehicles, medical devices, and pharmaceuticals. The United States will apply a 15% tariff rate on imports from Taiwan, down from earlier higher levels. Taiwan has also pledged to significantly boost purchases of U.S. goods through 2029, including energy, civil aircraft, and power equipment. The deal now awaits approval by Taiwan's parliament. February 3rd marks a special day not only just for a Chinese family, but many U.S. asylum seekers. Guang Hong was released last Tuesday, 1 week after a New York judge granted him asylum, following more than 5 months in immigration detention. He's a whistleblower who documented evidence of Beijing's human rights abuses against Uyghurs in the Xinjiang region. Guang sat down with NTD's Flora Hua less than 48 hours after his release from the immigration detention to unpack his journey. Let's take a look.
This is Guang Hong. He was born in China and lived there for more than 3 decades. So what drove him to flee from his home country? It all started in 2020 when Guan traveled to China's Xinjiang region on a secret mission. So what prompted you to go to Xinjiang? Let's start from here.
I read some reports on China's persecution of Uyghurs. Given my understanding of the Chinese regime, and as an ordinary citizen whose freedom of speech is restricted, I was sympathetic for what they were going through. I thought, all right, I could use my videos to provide testimony for their situation.
Most of China's Muslim minority, the Uyghurs, live in the Xinjiang region of western China. The US and UK have accused China of genocide targeting Uyghurs. 1 million people have been reportedly detained in Xinjiang and nearly 400 so-called re-education camps. Beijing blocks foreign media from reaching the public, but Guan says he started bypassing censorship over a decade ago. In 2020, a BuzzFeed report on Uyghur persecution caught his eye. Having visited Xinjiang the year before, he was struck by the strict controls and heavy police presence there.
The report made me think maybe I should go back and make a video about this.
Driving through the locations marked in the news report, Guan found that some of the largest are in Urumqi, the biggest city in Xinjiang. You said these places look like detention facilities. Can you tell us what features made you think that they were detention camps?
Many of them are located in Urumqi city. These sites had no names or signage and were under heavy security. There was a school with barbed wire on top of the walls, very unusual.
What's more, some of the facilities Guan saw in person aren't even documented on Chinese maps.
From what I remember, along that stretch of Gaoqiao Road, there was a massive camp. You can't find it on maps at all, but from the outside, it looks like any other prison.
Guan recorded extensive footage and safely returned to his hometown in central China. The idea of publishing it, however, carried serious risks.
At the time, I understood very clearly that if I published the video while I was still in China, I would definitely be arrested. That wouldn't just put my personal safety at risk, it would also erase everything I had filmed. And especially this film, no one would ever be able to see it. That was an outcome I simply couldn't accept.
So he decided to leave China. After traveling through several countries in Latin America, Guan eventually crossed the U.S. southern border into Florida in 2021 and applied for asylum. Media and human rights groups say Guan's significant findings provide long-sought, on-the-ground evidence supporting claims of the regime's abuses. Meanwhile, across the Pacific, Guan's mother told me the family faced a coordinated campaign by the CCP months after he released the videos in the U.S. Police interrogated his father and close relatives. At the same time, officers raided Guan's apartment and confiscated his computer. She says the CCP is closely watching Guan's trial.
On the 17th, I received a text message from Guan's father saying that the police had summoned him again. A national security officer took him to their office and asked him some questions, saying, "We know everything about your son in the United States. He's now going to be sent to a third country. We will eliminate Guan's household registration."
Another twist for Guan came last year when ICE agents arrested him over illegal entry. He was initially in the process of deportation to Uganda, but his case quickly garnered attention. The House Select China Committee sent a letter to the Department of Homeland Security urging for Guan's release. 2 weeks ago, a New York immigration judge granted him asylum, citing well-founded fear of returning to China. Looking back, I asked him whether he regretted visiting Xinjiang and publishing the videos.
No. From the very beginning, the reason I made videos was to do something more meaningful, something more significant than just filming my own life. And that's how it's always been.
Guan says he wishes the people in China to remain vigilant against the CCP's suppression. He adds that he's inspired by other Chinese dissidents, including civil reporter Zhang Zhan and the founder of the blog Program Think, Ruan Xiaohuan. Both remain detained in Chinese prisons today. Flora Hua, NTD News.
And we're taking a short break now. We'll be back with more news, so don't go away.
Restaurant quality pho with no wait. In just 4 minutes, you get bold, authentic Vietnamese flavor with Pholicious. Available in beef or chicken. Crafted from real beef tallow or chicken, it's comforting and full of tradition. Just add your favorite fresh extras. Every bowl comes packed with everything you need for the ultimate pho experience and ready in minutes. Bring the bold, authentic flavors of Vietnam straight to your home. Pholicious is now available at Walmart or walmart.com.
大提琴不仅仅是一件乐器，它是有生命、有感情的，需要我们精心的照顾。往往我们一个小小的动作，可能都会对人情绪产生微妙的影响。天音的品牌是福星，我们对于传统的理念很荣幸被神韵艺术团选为指定供应商。时间是酿造音色的不可替代的陪伴。我跟大提琴已经有60多年的友情了，每一把琴都有它自己的个性，熟悉它，才能真正发挥它的潜力。所以，我希望给你的每一把琴，都是首先我所信任的。
For decades, I've taught you everything I know. How to safely build a fire, and how to control the flames. But I can only teach wildfire prevention. Only you can prevent wildfires.
Polymarket, which is a prediction market company, opened a free supermarket in New York City. People started lining up as early as 6 a.m. to get in at 2 p.m. when the marketing charity event opened its doors. NTD Sean Marshall was there to check things out.
Behind me is New York's first free supermarket, started by Polymarket, a prediction company. Some of these people have been coming out of the store with more food than they can carry. Let's go talk to a couple people in the line that wraps around not 1 but 2 blocks. We're back at the end of the line. How long have you guys been here?
We just got here maybe like 10 minutes ago. 10-ish, 20 maybe. Yeah, we got back from class, so
yeah, so we came straight here. Yeah.
How long would you stay out here for?
Like an hour.
I was thinking like 3 hours.
I don't have anything going on, so honestly, for free groceries, I'll wait.
Yeah, we're college students, so it's rough out here, you know, just trying to pay for stuff, so.
Well, it looks like they've got some free coffee. I don't know if it'll make it this far back. And then a little further up, they're handing out snacks. So if you're lucky, maybe they'll swing back out again.
My frozen fingers are crossed. So.
I got everything I wanted and everything I needed, and it was right on time.
How was the shopping experience?
The shopping experience was really nice. They had someone to come in and help us and guide us through, hold the bag for us. And you decide what you want, and they just put it in the bag for you.
Polymarket, a prediction betting app, allows users to gamble on a number of events like sports, politics, weather, and pop culture. Though the app has raised some concerns about the use of insider information to make bets and control events. Polymarket's shoppers told the New York Post that they hoped the market's offerings were here to stay.
This was a lot to logistically try to pull off, and it was ambitious, and it's impressive that we could get it to this stage as quickly as we did, and I hope that it can just help inspire a lot of other private businesses and founders to want to do the same with their local regions and cities. Like, there's so much more that private businesses can do to actually benefit society besides buying billboards and random ad space that doesn't actually affect people whatsoever.
Supplies did not run out for the free supermarket party. The store stayed stocked until closing time.
This is very amazing, and I'm very appreciative of it because, you know, with the inflation going on in our country and groceries seem to be so high, this is a good idea to continue. The store will be open from 2 to 5 until Monday. Polymarket said it also donated $1 million to the food bank for New York City. Sean Marshall, NTD News.
Astronauts aboard a SpaceX rocket blasting off from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station this morning on a mission to the International Space Station. Video footage shows the 25-story tall spacecraft light up the pre-dawn sky.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, ignition, and liftoff. Go Falcon, go Dragon, and Godspeed Crew 12.
And liftoff. Freedom flies bound for the International Space Station. 1.7 million pounds of thrust now propelling Falcon 9 and Crew 12.
2 NASA astronauts, a French astronaut and a Russian cosmonaut, are on an 8-month science mission. The work will include studies of pneumonia-causing bacteria to improve treatments on Earth. They'll also conduct experiments to boost food production in space. The 4-person crew is scheduled to reach the space station tomorrow afternoon after a 34-hour flight, some 250 miles above Earth. Detailed carpets made for Louis XIV are on display at a Paris museum for the first time. The elaborate pieces have been brought together for a rare exhibition. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more on the tapestries that once belonged to the French king.
32 detailed carpets have been rolled out at the Grand Palais in Paris. In part, the exhibition illustrates the decadence of French King Louis XIV. Curator Wolf Burchard says the event is a first.
We rolled out 32 of the carpets that were made for Louis XIV 350 years ago. This was a series of 92 carpets that were made for the Long Gallery at the Louvre, and they were never rolled out in their entirety because Louis XIV lost interest in the Louvre and moved to Versailles.
The carpets were commissioned to cover over 1,600 feet and took nearly 20 years to complete. Tapestries fit for a king.
What you see when you look at the gallery is just how much yellow there is, and all that is supposed to evoke gold, so sort of gilt wood frames. And the idea was really that this was supposed to be a sort of golden path to the throne of the King of France.
The carpets were designed to make a statement. Burchard says the tapestries would have been accompanied by silver furniture and a painted ceiling.
The idea was that an ambassador at the court of France would walk across that gallery that's 0.5 kilometer long, and by the time you'd reach the throne, you would really be in awe of the wealth and the power of the King of France.
Producing carpets on this scale required a large team of weavers. Burchard explains how each carpet has its own story to tell.
And this one on the subject of love is particularly well preserved. It was in the office of the President of France at the Élysée for several decades, and it's absolutely beautiful and a really sophisticated design with a wonderful white background that almost looks like porcelain with all kinds of ribbons.
Many pieces were sold, cut, or scattered across Europe over centuries. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
With Valentine's Day coming up this Saturday, couples are looking for ways to show their appreciation for their special someone. From Paris to New York, couples spoke about what makes their love special. NTD's Andrew Thomas has more.
Across traditions and philosophies, love is generally defined as an ongoing moral choice that requires truthfulness and accountability. Aristotle wrote that to love, a person wishes and does what is good or seems to for the sake of his friend. The Old Testament includes a famous directive, translated roughly, love your neighbor as yourself. So, what is love? For Belgian tourist Anke Verbeek and Jari Jacobs, it meant a quick getaway.
For the holidays, it gave me a present, and there was a city trip to Paris today. So it's a perfect gesture that he did for me, and I love him a lot.
Joel Stimfig and Maria Gonzalez are visiting from Madrid. They say love is about staying on the same page.
We always try to maintain good communication. And if we have a bad day, we always take a moment to talk about our relationship, the things that concern us, and how our day went.
Outside New York's Metropolitan Museum of Art, British tourists Tamisa Shavandare and Brian Murray offered their own take.
I always think I go back to like to be loved is to be seen. To be loved is to be understood.
Yeah.
So like showing up for someone how you know they want to be loved.
Yeah. It's just one support as well. Showing love is how you support them in day-to-day life.
Whatever love means to you, just remember, Valentine's Day is Saturday. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
One fast food restaurant is now promising not to nuke anything. Steak and Shake said yesterday it's eliminating microwaves from all its locations by April. It's not clear exactly which menu items were ever microwaved, but the move comes less than a year after the chain switched from seed oil to beef tallow in its deep fryers. That brought it in line with Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s Make America Healthy Again campaign. He's been a critic of seed oils due to how they're processed. Many health experts warn beef tallow contains higher levels of saturated fat and is worse for your heart. Okay, we're taking a break now. We'll be back with more news. Don't go away.
This is how I keep my joints happy.
Omega XL is a powerful natural supplement backed by 40 years of clinical research. Take control of your pain, like Cynthia Bailey.
My knees in particular started giving me pain issues all the way back to my modeling days, from just running through airports, photo shoots. After taking Omega XL, I really started to notice how less stiff I was, especially my knees and my hip. Has Omega XL changed my life? Yes. I barely notice my joint pain anymore. Now I'm like literally sprinting through the airports. My secret is Omega XL.
Pick up the phone and call now to get this exclusive TV offer. Buy one Omega XL and we'll send you a second bottle absolutely free. You'll also get a free bottle of Vitamin XL D3. Buy one, get two free. A total value of over $115, all for just $49.95. You save more than 55% and shipping is free. Backed by a money-back guarantee and is not available in stores. Operators are standing by, so call now.
Whispered across generations, a hidden secret unveils the essence of longevity and vitality, a timeless legend regarding energy and wonder. Rooted in ancient health wisdom, we proudly introduce Pure Tang Black Ginseng, a 100% natural, organic energy drink made from premium 6-year-old Korean ginseng. It takes 2,260 days and nights from seed to growth, undergoing a meticulous 9-step process of steaming and drying. Black ginseng reaches its full potency, enriched with ginsenoside RG3 and enhanced absorption efficiency. No sugar, no caffeine, no artificial ingredients. Experience the pure, natural power of Pure Tang Black Ginseng. Nourish your body, strengthen your immunity, and boost your energy. To order Pure Tang Black Ginseng, please visit puretang.com.
There is a road laid out for me.
Boxes everywhere. And this is gonna be Addie's room.
I am blind.
You're really gonna like it. I hope so. Yeah.
I know this road is there for me. There is a long way.
First night here, but Amy seems cool.
The waist down by the river. I am blind, but I need not see.
I got this.
I know it's there for me.
Okay.
If I'm really free, take me down to the river and wash me.
NTD News, the fastest growing independent news source in America, bringing you breaking news from around the world. Expert analysis, investigative reporting, and original award-winning documentaries. We're known for our uncensored China coverage you won't find anywhere else.